Okay, we're back with you here on Gridiron. We're going to go over a couple of teams here as we enter into week 8 of the schedule around Lawrence County. First off is Mohawk, which is 1-3 in the Midwestern Athletic Conference, 2-5 overall. Larry, the Warriors have lost 5 out of 6. And when can you say the last time was that Mohawk has struggled? That's the first question. I guess that is the question. When's the last time you remember Mohawk struggling like this?
I think it's been at least 4 years. I know they had a really good run one year, and then the next year some injuries kind of set them back. But that program has turned around. They've created a culture, and it's a winning culture, and they still have some athletes, but they may have had some injuries this year, Ronnie, that's kind of slowed them down. But yeah, I mean, they lost a tough one to New Brighton. Gave up a touchdown late. This is, I think, the second time that's happened. Didn't give up a touchdown late. They scored a touchdown late, but they were behind the 8 ball there for a while. Mm-hmm. So no, they did give up a touchdown late. I'm sorry. I thought I thought that I saw that. So yeah, I mean, it's tough at a small school to win year in and year out. And if you have injuries, it makes it even tougher. It's hard to have a lot of depth in a small school.
Cash Stratton got hurt early in the season, I believe the second game against Laurel. And as you alluded to, here's what we have. 3 of its losses in the conference for Mohawk are by a combined 11 points. They missed the game-winning field goal on the final play of the game in an 8-6 loss to Beaver Falls. Elwood City scored a touchdown with 9.3 seconds to go in a 21-15 win over Mohawk. And then last week's 38-35 loss to New Brighton, which I don't have when New Brighton scored that winning touchdown, although I think it was somewhat relatively early in the fourth quarter. But regardless, Larry, teams have do you believe in teams having a nature about them where, maybe this is Murphy's Law with Mohawk. Once it gets to the fourth quarter, if they're looking up at the scoreboard, it's a tight game and it can go either way. They've found ways to lose these games. Do they just get into that trend and that's how?
That there may be some truth to that. When you're having a really good season, you not only find ways to win those games, but you believe you're going to win those games. And when your season starts to get rough and you start losing games in the fourth quarter, it can get between your ears, and all of a sudden you're expecting and finding ways to lose games that you shouldn't have lost. They should have never lost that Elwood game. I mean, Elwood hit a 50-yard touchdown pass with 8 seconds left to go in a game or something like that. Yes, they could have beaten New Brighton. They could have beaten Beaver Falls. They could have beaten Elwood City. And if they had, completely changes the complexion of their season. And as you said, 3 games, 11 points. So it's not like they're getting blown out. They're not. They're in every game. And it's just finding a way to get it done. When you have a championship season, and, I've been fortunate to be a part of many of them, nothing to do with me, just having good teams. There are plays that you look back on that you say, had it gone the other way, this doesn't happen. This championship doesn't happen. And I'm sure if Mohawk looks back on this season, there will be plays. The play in Elwood City, had it gone the other way, could have turned the season around. So, it's just there's a little bit of luck in athletic events, and there's always 1 or 2 plays that if they go the other way, it doesn't happen for you. When Newcastle won our state championship in basketball, Abington took a shot at the end of the game, a 3-pointer that would have tied the game, that slid across the rim. Had it been a quarter of an inch, a little farther, they would have tied the game. And had they tied the game, that momentum switch might have been such that we wouldn't have won that game and gone to the state championship. So there's always a few plays, Ronnie. the last out in the Whippeal Championship game baseball for Shenango, with a man on third base in a 2-1 game, kid hit a rocket to right field, right at our right fielder, Braden D'Angelo, right at him, makes the play. Had that ball gone in the gap, it's probably a triple, and, things might have ended up differently. So I'm sure these plays are going against Mohawk, these 50-50 plays that just aren't going their way.
And Mohawk's lone conference win is a 28-21 decision over Union, a game that saw the Warriors score the game-winning touchdown with right around 5 minutes to go. So regardless of outcome, good, bad, or indifferent for Mohawk, they're playing close games. They're losing close games. They found a way to win that close one against Union. They have a blowout win over Neshannock early in the season. That accounts for their 2 wins.
Yeah, but I mean, Neshannock's only had 1 loss. And when Mohawk beat Neshannock opening game, they were feeling pretty good about themselves. And, again, 3 games, they lose by a total of 11 points. I think all 3 turned in the fourth quarter. It's just one of those years.
Yeah. How rough is that for a coach when he goes home at night, after he gets back from the school, finally sits down in his chair or on the couch, what have you? Do you decompress at all, or trying to watch the news or a favorite program, or is it just on your mind and you just can't get it off of your mind?
You can't get it off of your mind normally. You lose a little sleep. You start second guessing yourself. Could we have done anything differently? Should I have done something differently? You just do if you care about it. And as I told you, when I lost the state championship game at Shenango, 8-7, I couldn't watch baseball for 3 weeks. Couldn't watch it. And I love baseball. So, we lost a couple championship games. Coach Belendo, you second guess yourself. I'm sure he lost some sleep. I'm sure he did.
Wilmington, let's move over to Wilmington. They renamed the stadium this year to Terry Varelli Stadium, a very, very tough place to play, very storied program. I think you'd agree with that. Next thing you know, they lose the first game there to Hubbard. They lose the second game to Farrell. You're thinking, boy, they got a new name to the stadium. They can't win for the life of them, and they turn it around with a big 42-point win over an undefeated Reynolds team.
Terry Varelli is a legend.
Mm-hmm.
When I started working at the Newcastle News in 1977, Terry Varelli was the head coach at Wilmington High School. So that's how long he's been around. And my man's won a boatload of games. And, the fact that they named the stadium after him is well-deserved.
Yep.
And, again, Wilmington controlled the line of scrimmage. They did what they do, outrushing Reynolds 175-98. They were actually a little more diverse, which I believe they're going to have to be if they're going to make a playoff run. They threw the ball for 76 yards. They threw it 5 times, which is probably 4 times more than they normally do. I'm a firm believer that you got to run the football in high school to be successful. Nobody's run it better than Wilmington and Brendan Fillion and his group. You got to be a little more diverse, I think, Ronnie. They got to throw it a little more often. As the competition gets better, they're going to stack the box. They're just those other teams that are equal in talent are just not going to let you run it down their throat. So you got to spread them out a little bit, and it looks like that's what Wilmington did in this game. They threw it 5 times for 76 yards. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at their stats. I don't think they've thrown it for 76 yards all season. So, nice win, good win, back on track. But they're going to have to look at Farrell again somewhere down the road, right, Ronnie?
No, Farrell's in 2A.
Are they? But I thought, for some reason, don't they mix and match in District 10? Don't 1A sometimes have to play 2A and vice versa and all that stuff?
Not in the playoffs.
Not the playoffs? Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good news. Well, they used to be in the same classification because I remember that was the game of the year, Farrell Wilmington. Those were great football games.
Yeah, and this was a mandatory game from my point of view, because if you lose that game to Reynolds, you go down behind in terms of region play. You're behind Farrell. You're behind Reynolds. The highest you can finish is third. Naturally, they're going to make the playoffs, but to that point, you're going to get stuck with a bad seed. You're going to hit the road and play somewhere God only knows where.
Yeah, yeah. One thing about Wilmington too, they converted 4 out of 5 extra points.
Yeah.
Again, you got to be able to, good teams in crunch time, you got to be able to convert that extra point. It's almost a gimme.
Yeah.
Almost a gimme. So
Ryder Turvo is a really good place kicker for Wilmington.
Yes, he is.
But they've had really good place kickers as long as I've been, Lawrence County, from the Terry Varelli days to the Brandon Fillion days. They've always had great kickers.
You got to find one of those guys. And normally you find them in the summer when everybody's there, and you find them. You got to find them. Maybe a kid's never kicked before, but all of a sudden, in the summertime, you find that he can. Just because a kid in high school baseball says he's never pitched doesn't mean he can't. I used to look at all those guys' arms to see who could, who has the velo, who can throw it for fastball for strikes. Part of the coach's deal is to be able to identify players who can do certain jobs for you and get it done in crunch time.
One of the things, maybe you would agree with this, because you mentioned that Newcastle is struggling with point afters, and we are saying that Wilmington is really good with place kicking and have been. Wilmington's got a soccer team.
And Newcastle doesn't.
Right. You just kind of wonder, okay, if we install a soccer program at Newcastle, how long does it take the high school to have a good kicker? Overnight or?
Funny you say that. Coach Mangino told Coach Mazzacco, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, hey, you're the athletic director. Let's start a soccer team here so we can find a kicker. So you're right. Most of these kids, if not all of them, are soccer players. And I got to believe there's kids at Newcastle High School that even if they don't play soccer for the high school, play on a club team somewhere.
Yeah.
The ball's set up on what? The 2-yard line. It's set up 7 yards back. You got to kick it 19 yards. Ronnie, even you could do that. Do you have any eligibility left? I'll put a Red Hurricane uniform on you.
The funny thing is, when I was a little kid, I didn't have siblings. So my dad would knock on my bedroom door and say, hey, want to go to the park? We would shoot baskets. We would hit fly balls to each other, and we would kick field goals and punts.
And how were you?
I didn't.
I want to know about the kicking.
Yeah, I could make PATs, but beyond that, I didn't have much.
That's all we want. We're not looking for Garo Yepremian, Chris Boswell. We're looking for a guy that could kick it 19 yards and straight and get it airborne.
You got to remember, I was a little kid, and we did that all the way up through high school. With me, and those were the days. Those were the days.
Yeah.
2 other really quick topics. One that we didn't have on our list, but you kind of mentioned it, about Wilmington and Farrell, and do they play, in the playoffs against each other. There's been talk on Twitter about possibly changing up high school football around the state of Pennsylvania. And apparently District 7 and one other district, and I don't remember what it is offhand, are the only 2 districts that literally have conferences with all classifications, teams in the same classification, meaning Parkway Conference is all 4A. Big 7 is all 1A. Midwestern Athletic Conference is all 2A. Every other district mixes and matches classifications. District 10, you have Wilmington and Farrell, a 1A school and a 2A school. You have other classifications in regions. It's that way in all throughout Pennsylvania, supposedly, except, like I said, District 7 and some other district. Do you think Pennsylvania will change that and say, you know what, every district is going to be uniform? And let's just say it happens that way. You might have a conference of Riverside, Union, Blackhawk, maybe Newcastle, Moon. You're mixing and matching classifications.
I don't think you can do that in football, Ronnie. What are we going to do? We're going to play Central Catholic and North Allegheny again. You're going to have Riverside play Central Catholic and North Allegheny. That score would be 100-0. I mean, look, I give credit to Summit Academy. They still play football. I'm surprised they can field the team. They get beat 73-0 in almost every game, and Laurel beat them by an enormous number this past week. I don't think you can do that in football. You can maybe get away with it in hoops, in basketball, but I don't think you can do that in football. Kids would get hurt. The mismatches would be tremendous. Central Catholic, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, had 13 Division I recruits on their team. Well, they were recruited, but 13 Division I scholarship players on their team. The rest of the WPIAL didn't have 13. So I don't think you can do it in football, my man.
Okay, well, they do it in other districts and they do it in the state of Ohio, so it works in other places. I don't know if they're really going to go through with it, but there have been talk on social media regarding that, so we'll have to see. Now, what I want you to do, Larry, is put on your coaching cap. Help me out, Larry. You're the coach. You're here for a reason. I don't know if you saw NFL highlights over the weekend.
I saw it. I saw it. And guess who took heat for what happened? The coach, because the coach read this player the riot act, and they said that he made contact with the player. I didn't see it. I watched the YouTube or whatever video of it. I didn't see any contact between the coach and the player, but they said there was. And of course, that is unacceptable. But my man, I can't, I'm old school, you understand? But what I've learned in my adult life, that old school is now old hat and no longer in favor. Joe Paterno said it best: when you score a touchdown, pretend like you've done this before. You know, these dances and everything that go on to an old guy like me. No, man, I don't want to see that. Give me a Larry Fitzgerald who hands the ball to the referee and says, "I'll see you again before this game's over." That's who I am, but that's out of vogue, Ronnie. I got to tell you, that is out of vogue. This is the second week that this has happened.
Yep.
And listen, I don't blame the coach for being angry. I just don't, because I might have done the same thing. But again, if he made contact with the player, you can't do that. But man, come on, man. I mean, you're running to the darn end zone and give the ball to the official or spike it once you get there. But I'm with you. I read your comments. You said the guy would never play for you again.
No, he wouldn't. No. And that's the thing that bothers me about coaches. They have tolerance.
No, this coach didn't have tolerance. Did you do yourself a favor? Google the coach's name, Gannon, and watch the video.
I saw it.
Do you think he came in contact with the player? I could.
He did not come in contact with him, and the reason I say he has tolerance for him is, if you remember 10 years ago or better, Mike Singletary was the coach of the San Francisco 49ers, and he was PO'd at his tight end, Vernon Davis, I believe it was. He told him to get off the sideline, and he sent him to the shower during the game, not after the game. He said, "No, you're not needed here." He got him off the bench and sent him to the locker room. If that's me, with the guy's name is Emari DeMarcado, and he fumbles like that, I'm sending him to the locker room and telling him, "Turn your playbook in. You are officially cut." I'm cutting him on the spot.
That's old school. But old school is now old hat, and it's out of vogue. You do that in a high school game, they'll fire you the next week. The school board will send you a letter. But again, I'm with you. I'm with you. If you score a touchdown, pretend like you've done it before. I used to tell my high school kids, you hit a home run, let's pretend like you've done this before. Like this isn't the first time that you got to jump up and down and dance around a bases. But Larry Kelly is old school, and
Right.
Old school is out of vogue in the world that we live in today, my brother. And I'm 25, 30 years older than you. So I love the fact that you're still old school. I love it. I do. Because you think like me. And there are a lot of others who think like us. But I'm telling you, that's not the way of the world that we live in today. As you can tell, you got me a little fired up here, because I can't watch that either. I just can't.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to ask you, and I know you watch sports like I do, probably not nearly as much as I do, but I believe there was a 30 for 30 on ESPN, maybe about Jimmy Johnson, perhaps. I'm not positive, but I know they talk a little bit about when he was at the University of Miami, and then they go into his time at the Cowboys and over to the Dolphins. And the reason I'm asking this is he mentions on there that there's a guy, maybe like a third string special teams guy or whatever, falls asleep in a meeting, and he released him. He cut him literally pretty much that day or whatever. And Jimmy Johnson's comment was, yeah, he's going to be gone because he's expendable. Well, what would you do if Michael Irvin fell asleep? Well, you nudge him and say, Michael, this is pretty important. You can't treat people differently. People want equality in the world. You can't treat people.
Well, let me interject here. The greatest coach of all time, John Wooden, said he had different rules for all of his players. He had a set of rules that were non-negotiable, but yet he treated each player differently. And you got to have a set of rules that are non-negotiable.
Right.
However, you got to treat each player differently based on the circumstances. I mean, look, I'm coaching high school baseball, right? One of my really good players is showing up late. So I don't yell at him in front of everybody. I call him over. Oh, my man, what's going on here? You got to be here, and you got to be here on time. Coach, I have to take my little brother home after school. And, I have the car. My parents both work. So what do you say to that, right? I understand. My response to him was, I get it. I understand. You got to get your little brother home. Get here as soon as you can. So again, Ronnie, there are different circumstances for every player. There really are. But there are a set of rules that are non-negotiable. I agree with you in that regard.
Yeah. That has always rubbed me the wrong way with Jimmy Johnson's comment of, you treat players. No, you don't treat players differently. If you're cutting that guy, I get it. Michael Irvin's a Hall of Famer, but make it a point of, instead of cutting that guy, tell him, hey, there's a practice field over there. I want you to run 10 times around the stadium, 10 times. Michael Irvin falls asleep. He's running 10 times too. You got to treat them equally. You can't treat them separately, because that's not fair to everybody else that's on the team. It's just not.
Look, I've been very fortunate that I've coached with some of the best coaches as an assistant in Western Pennsylvania. I mean, Ralph Belundo comes to mind. My dear friend Carmen Nacera, with whom I coached at Westminster College and Penn State Shenango Valley. We should have a discussion, because, again, there are a set of rules that are non-negotiable, but yet there are circumstances where you have to treat players differently. I just learned that through experience. You just have to.
As I always say, Larry, I could never be a coach.
No, you probably couldn't. Already you said 3 things that would have got you fired. You're going to have guys running laps till they throw up. You're going to cut a guy, for falling asleep. It's in the world. Good thing you're a newspaper reporter and not a high school coach, because you'd have been fired a couple times already.
Yeah. Okay, we will take a break. We have the Week 8 schedule coming up, and we'll do that back here on Gridiron coming up next. Don't go away.
There's one thing I learned growing up around here. People should look out for each other. Be friends and neighbors that you can count on. So it bothers me when people who are hurt in automobile accidents get bullied by the insurance company. I don't let bullies run over my clients. I do what I was taught growing up. Step up, stand up, and speak up for those who can't. I'm Larry Kelly, and I'm a Newcastle guy.
Hey, we're back with you here on Gridiron, and we're going to tell you about the games that are coming up on Friday, October 10th. Every game this week is Friday night, 7 p.m. First off, we have West Allegheny 1-1, 2-4 in overall. 1-1 is in the Parkway at Newcastle, 2-0 in the Parkway, and 6-1 overall. Larry, Newcastle is looking for its first win over the Indians since what year?
The Reagan administration. I don't remember when we last beat West Allegheny, so help me.
Is everything the Reagan administration?
Pretty much. That's as far back as I can remember.
2008.
Wow, that's a long time ago. I mean, West Allegheny historically has been a powerhouse. They ran that Wildcat offense. They ran the ball down your throat. But they're struggling a little bit this year, and there's something special about this Newcastle team. I like the Red Hurricane, brother.
Yeah. I look for them to successfully complete the gauntlet and go 3-0 in those 3 home games, and by rights that ought to clinch a play, at the very least, a playoff spot, you would think.
But absolutely, yeah, no question about it. This is the gauntlet. I mean, after this, they should run the table,
right?
But man, they're playing good football. They're defensively too. That's, they say championships are won with defense, and that's probably true in every sport. Baseball, it's pitching and defense. Hoops, Newcastle, our staple has always been our 94. We guard you 94 feet, our defense. Newcastle football, it's defense this year.
Help me out with the trademark Larry Kelly quote about freshmen and sophomores and playing juniors and seniors. Help me out with that. What's the quote again?
And freshmen and sophomores normally don't beat juniors and seniors. However, now, if we look at Newcastle, Marino Graham's a freshman and Kai Cox is a sophomore. But they're special. They're Division I athletes. That's what it looks like. But if you look at the core of this team, we're looking at Jaden Schaefer, senior, DJ Gordon, senior, Chase Lemon, senior, Mason Cook, senior, Travis Wetzel, senior. We're looking at Quaylen Davis, senior. So there's a bunch of seniors on this team, and I know I'm missing some, and I apologize to those kids that I've never coached before. But these are all basketball players that I know their pedigree, and they're seniors. So there's a bunch of senior leadership on this team, Ronnie.
Mm-hmm. Riverside 3-1 in the Midwestern Athletic Conference, 4-3 overall at Elwood City Lincoln. Elwood is 2-2 in conference, 3-4 overall. This is huge for Elwood City because they've lost a couple games, New Brighton, and then last week Western Beaver. They have got to get it turned around for a lot of reasons. They've got to snap that losing streak. Riverside's above them in the standings. They got to be able to have a tiebreaker against the Panthers.
This is going to be a dogfight. My kids went to Riverside. There's a natural animosity between Riverside and Elwood City, not so much different than the animosity between a dog and a cat. I'm telling you, this is a rivalry. I mean, these schools are a mile apart. The kids all know each other. It's a good rivalry. It's going to be a great football game.
Laurel 3-0. Actually, before we move on from that one, Elwood City is 17-22 all time against Riverside. So they're looking to climb the ladder a little bit and get a little bit closer to their nemesis.
It'll be a great game.
It will. Might be over with in about 2 hours too, since Riverside runs the ball like Army or Navy.
Yeah.
Laurel 3-0 in Big 7 action, 6-1 overall at Shenango, which is 2-2 in the Big 7, 3-4 overall. This is crucial for Shenango. It's not going to be easy, but the Wildcats are playing at home, and Shenango is looking for its first win over Laurel. You're not allowed to say the Reagan administration since when.
I can't tell you that. All I know is when I coached baseball at Shenango, we were 6-0 against Laurel. I was there 3 years. We were 6-0. So whatever retribution we needed in the other sports, I got it for us in baseball.
2003. It's been
yeah, this is a rivalry too. I never realized how much of a rivalry it was until I was coaching at Shenango. Those games against Laurel were fiercely contested, and I'm sure this football game will be the same. Shenango did a nice job. They controlled the line of scrimmage against Rochester. They outrushed them 2 or 3 to 1. Laurel runs the football, and they can also throw it. And a couple of guys for them last week, I think, set school records. Help me, Colton
Carlson.
Colton Carlson set a school record last week. And so, Shenango will have to be at their best to beat the Spartans.
And Lucas Santini set a record for passing.
Yeah, Lucas Santini and Colton Carlson both set school records last week. So Laurel is good. They're very good.
Yep. Western Beaver, the class of the Midwestern Athletic Conference, 4-0 in league, 7-0 overall at Mohawk, which is 1-3, 2-5. This is, if not now, win for Mohawk. You got to win this one, or pretty much start thinking about winter sports.
I think Western Beaver, if I'm not mistaken, I read they were scoring 40 points a game and giving up 7. So they're the real deal. And Mohawk will have to be at their best on Friday to beat them.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what, you need a win. It does you no good to play a close game, but is it going to really surprise us if this game goes to the fourth quarter and it's a one-score game?
Mohawk is, if you could see my fingers, they're this close to being, a one-loss team. They're that close. Yeah.
Southside Beaver 3-0 in the Big Seven, 6-1 overall at Neshannock, 2-0 in league, 5-1 overall. This is the game of the week.
It's the game of the week. I agree with you there. This is because those boys from Southside Beaver are tough. Mm-hmm. They used to be in our section in baseball. Those young men are tough down there. And of course, Neshannock, man, they're playing good football, and they got some tough kids too. This should be a really, really good, well played, evenly contested football game. But you got to like Neshannock. Gino Mazzoca is a special player.
If this year's game is anything like last year's game, you definitely want to get there and enjoy the game. Neshannock won last year's game 21-19.
Yeah, it was a great game. I remember that.
Union 0-4 in the Midwestern Athletic Conference, 0-6 overall at Freedom, which is 1-3, 3-4. The Scotties are coming off a 28-22 overtime loss. And in that middle part of our show, when we talked about Mohawk and losing close games, we really probably could have talked about Union also. They lost 28-21 to Mohawk. They lost 28-22 in overtime last week to Beaver Falls. They don't have any wins, but they have played some games close.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Scotties will show up. If Freedom thinks they're not coming, they better reassess that vision. The Scotties will be there, and this is a game they can win.
Right. Wilmington 1-1 in District 10 Region 1-1A, 2A, 5-2 overall. They play at Mercer, which is 1-2 in conference, 3-4 overall. Wilmington looking to feed off of last week's momentum, the 42-point win. Hopefully get Chase Mitchell-Tree back as well and get healthy.
Yeah, that's important. Chase is one of the best running backs in the county. Week in and week out, he's good for 2 touchdowns and over 100 yards. So he's a big part of who they are and what they do. Hopefully he'll be back in action. It's a big game. You got to stack wins, and you got to build on what you did last week.
Yeah, they absolutely need this one, and I believe they play Sharpsville. I don't think the last game is a region one, but it very well could be, because with that loss to Farrell, being that Farrell is 2A, if they run the table against the 1A schools, it's going to help them with a seed for the District 10 playoffs. They'll probably be playing over at Slippery Rock. Nice close drive. That's why that win last week over Reynolds was so big, because otherwise you start getting lower in the conference, you start getting a worse seed, and you get a longer bus ride in the playoffs.
You don't want long bus rides on a school bus in the playoffs, Ronnie. You just don't. It's important to play close to home. It's important for the players, the fan base. Another big game. Coach Fillion will have his team ready. I'm certain of that.
That's right. All right, Larry, anything else you would like to say before we close up shop this week?
No, other than, man, you could see the smile on my face. I'm so happy that Newcastle football is back. They have the respect that Coach Mazzoca was looking for, number 1 in 4A, and they did it the old-fashioned way, Ronnie. They earned it. Yeah,
the whole coaching staff is really working hard, and it's paying off. They're doing just such a great job, and the kids are buying into what they're teaching them, and it shows on a weekly basis with the product on the field.
Absolutely. And nothing succeeds like success, and they've had a lot of it.
If I would have asked you when Fred Mazzocca was hired going into the 2024 season, and they're coming off a 1-win season, Larry, how soon does this thing get turned around to the point where they're either A, in the playoffs, or B, bucking for a Parkway title? How long would you have said?
Well, the key is, and part of your job as a high school coach is to get players in the school excited about being part of the team and part of something. We have guys that haven't played football, who were basketball players, who are now excited about being a football player, being a Red Hurricane, and they're having success, and it just permeates the school. And I think that's Coach Mazzocca knows how to coach them up. He knows the X's and the O's, but he's gotten the kids excited, and that's important. And you can just tell by the numbers, right? Instead of having 20 kids on the sideline, we have 50, and they're excited. And when you can get kids excited and you can get quality athletes who are mentally tough and laser focused, and every one of these guys that I know of that play basketball are certainly that, you're going to have success, and they are having the type of success I'm not so sure everybody envisioned, but Coach Mazzocca and his staff certainly envisioned it. Remember, he said the first week of the year, Newcastle football is back. That's a big statement.
We have flipped the calendar to October. We've got just a few weeks till basketball season. Anything you can share with us on basketball? Do you have your Skechers ready?
I'm not allowed to wear Skechers. Coach Belundo said he's buying me a pair of Nikes. I don't know why he doesn't like my Skechers. I like them. They're red and black. They're the team colors. But he will not let me sit on the bench this year if I have a pair of Skechers on. That's what he told me. So supposedly I got a pair of Nikes coming my way. I told him size 11. So I'm still waiting though, Ronnie. I haven't seen them yet.
Okay. All right. We will check back soon.
And get your tickets, Newcastle fans, because we're going to be good.
All right. We look forward to that, Larry. But before that, we've got a lot of business to take care of, especially at Newcastle for football.
Absolutely, baby. This is going to be a long run, long playoff run.
Okay. He's Larry Kelly. We thank him for joining us. I'm Ron Poniewasz. Thank you, everybody, for watching Gridiron. We'll see you back here next week on Gridiron.
We all know there's an advantage to playing at home, to being the home team. At LGKG, we've been your home team personal injury attorneys for auto accident and workers' compensation cases for over 90 years. We know what works and how to win. We have all the credentials. At LGKG, we don't take every case. We handpick our clients so that we can give you the attention you deserve.